Well, I'm wondering about the experience of Kinyarwanda, because you were just at the Sundance Festival and were recognized, and I'm sure that's a really key thing. I mean, what role do these festivals play in getting you recognized, and how do you come to their attention? I mean, how does this work internationally and here?
Well, Kinyarwanda is interesting because that was my first feature film. And ironically, I produced a feature film in West Africa for PBS a couple years ago. This is my first feature narrative in East Africa, in Rwanda. So my feature film have been done outside of the U.S., and they were both grant funded. And in this Kinyarwanda, a Peace Corps connection that I had with the Rwandan kid, he got a grant. And he called me up and said, we'd been emailing for years, said, would you come to Rwanda to help me with my film? And that's how that happened. And we met the people and started writing the script, and it was underneath the tenets of the grant. So the film, it was a completely international collaboration from the outset because of that Peace Corps experience. When we made the film, I got it in a can, 16 days, barely any money. It was but we knew something was special about the way it was written, the performances, all local people. We edited it, and we thought we could.
On Melvin Van Peebles.
On Melvin Van Peebles' computer. We couldn't afford our own. We borrowed his, and
that's great.
And I had one of my students that I've known since she was 16 years old edit the film. It was a completely low budget production, right? But we got into Sundance. It was kind of like, really, and exactly what you said about the audience. I told my entire team, it doesn't really matter what happens here. Let's make sure that we build an audience. Let's make sure that we get to the audience. And so we designed an entire system, because we have a film. Kinyarwanda is in English and Kinyarwanda, that's the official language, right? There's subtitles, all African faces, things that American audiences are not necessarily keen to. There are no white protagonists to save the day or teach people how to save the day, or there are no white people actually blame in the film. It's about the African stories and things that we hadn't seen yet. So there were a lot of things that were different about this. But somehow, when audiences sat down, like you said, when you get them there, that's it.
Yeah.
They made the decision,
Yep.
and every screening, there was something emotional and powerful and beautiful about what they experienced in that screening, and we engage the audience online. We have supporters in Australia, in England, everywhere. We've been talking to people about the film for months before we got to Sundance. We wore T-shirts. We did everything that we could to create an excitement around it. We walked away with the Audience Award, for this little film based in Rwanda with subtitles and so on and so forth. And I think you talked a little bit about what is it about the international film. What do you have to do as a filmmaker? I think maybe we all might agree that no matter what our subject or topic is, you still have to speak to people's humanity, and there's some core thing that without language, there's some truth that we all can see or feel when we see a character or we look into somebody's eyes. And that's what we all strive for, no matter what the subject, no matter documentary or fiction. And I think that if you don't do that, it doesn't matter who you're trying to speak to. If you don't do that, it's not going to work.
Yeah, that's really beautifully said. And it sounds to me that this is something that distinguishes independent and international filmmakers from what goes on in this country. So you can do something that comes from the heart, that really means something. It's not just about what will make money, what can we get someone to give us money to make, but it can be done creatively by getting grants, by using connections. And I was interested in what kind of grant your friend got that helped pay for the film at the beginning.
That was a grant from the European Commission on Human Rights.
Oh, okay. Okay. So there must be little pots of money like this that are waiting for a worthy topic to come along. And has that been
you can also win the lottery.
Yeah, right. But I think finding the funding is a crucial part of the puzzle. You have these, wonderful creative people. Like you said, it's easier and easier to make a film, but then what? How do you get it marketed? So the whole international collaboration then is another way to bring different, I guess, funding possibilities together. Does anyone want to introduce?
Yeah, I about 20 years ago, there was a whole new program set up in the European community it was a political decision that they were going to encourage co-production across borders. And in the beginning, it was very much a financial thing to get the jigsaw puzzle together, because you would, if you had a co-producer here and a co-producer there, then another pot of money would become available. But over the years, it has developed into a much more creative community, which is really very good for the films and very much more fun to be in films and working across borders like that. But it's still also a financing tool, because you can access. I mean, a lot of the European countries are so small that it's hard to sustain film production without subsidies. So you have to have some sort of subsidies, and you can sort of get a little bit from here and a little bit from there, and then eventually you will be able to also apply to pan-national support systems. But it also opens up other markets, so you have to be aware of how to market to that co-producer's country also, or to that co-producer's television station. So it does train you in thinking out of, not just how do I get my film made, but also how do I get my film seen, which is of course really important.
Yeah, let's not forget that Hollywood was also doing this. You had Italian money and Sergio Leone films, which were Hollywood films. Crédit Lyonnais, the big French bank, was involved in financing lots of films. You had, particularly with French or Spanish stars, if anybody saw the ill-fated film Jimmy Hollywood by Barry Levinson, which I like very much, I think I'm the only person who does. Victoria Abril, the Almodovar actress, is in that film, and there's Spanish money. And even on the independent level, Gaumont, the French company, is financing films by Greg Araki. Do any of you know Greg Araki, the Californian crazy filmmaker, whose first film I think cost is a great line. His first film, The Living End, a road movie, two guys who are just diagnosed as HIV positive and go out on the road, cost $29,000 and did a lot more business than that. But also Woody Allen. Take Woody Allen, for example. All of Woody Allen's money comes from Europe now. He can't get a film financed in the United States. So, I mean, this is, I think that, the independents are catching up with people who have recognized that finding additional markets for your film is a very commercial way to go.